Welcome to our Weather Impact Show. I'm Dylan Robichaud alongside Michael Behrens. Michael, we are stuck in the same conundrum. Again, we're talking freezing rain coming in.
Yeah, another round of freezing rain heading into central Ohio and another round of weather impact alerts related to the freezing rain. And it seems fairly similar in terms of impact to the last one.
And within the last, let's say, hour or so, we got some brand new model information that we want to go over with you. So let's just hop right into it, let you know what is important. And we are still talking freezing rain. Timing wise, about 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. on your Saturday. So roughly a 4-hour window for that possible ice out there. And generally speaking, once you get north of Pickaway County, that's where we have this band of freezing rain. Down to the south, that's where it's too mild and we're looking at plain old rain. Now, what we have right now is two systems, two totally different systems actually kind of merging together. We got one up towards the north, up towards the western Midwest, then another one across the Tennessee Valley. Now, in this circumstance, it's all about timing. So we're looking for these two to kind of meet together and kind of conglomerate as we head into Saturday afternoon. Let's talk more specifics on timing for where you live. Most of the morning hours should be pretty dry, with the exception of a little drizzle here and there. As we get towards Saturday at 3 o'clock, again, this is when most of the precipitation moves off. But notice how some of the latest runs of the computer models now are showing that warmer air pushing further up to the north. Most of Pickaway County now is just looking at plain old rain, although you guys might have a couple of quick hours of some light freezing drizzle. Once you get along in north of I-70, that is that belt of freezing rain that we're tracking for tomorrow, and then it switches over to all rain heading into the afternoon hours. So impacts on the roadways should be held to a minimum as we're going to be looking at the freezing rain moving out here pretty quickly. Now, how much can you expect? It's going to depend on location. You'll notice that the latest run of the computer models now have most of the freezing rain up to the north. That is actually good news, okay? I actually like what I'm seeing here because nobody wants icy roadways. Nobody wants icy parking lots. And it looks like things are trending warmer and trending better with more rain down to the south and still tracking freezing rain to the north, but at least a whole viewing area won't be looking at that ice tomorrow. So that is some good news. Temperature-wise, heading into the afternoon, well, the morning, not bad, but once it starts precipitating, these temperatures hold pretty steadily here in the lower end of the 30s. They don't really change a whole lot. So tomorrow, looking at that freezing rain, heading into Sunday, a few leftover flurries. That's pretty much it heading into the later half of the weekend. Temperatures pretty steady here in the 30s going into both days. Long range outlook from February 12th to the 18th. Again, below average temperatures here in that blue shading color. And then you head down to the deep south. We're looking at above average temperatures here throughout most of the Ohio Valley. We're kind of between the cold and the warm, so that means seasonable through next week. Now, on the contrary, looking at precipitation above average for most of the Appalachian Mountains out to the Ohio Valley. So rainfall should be abnormally high. Temperature-wise, though, we start coming down a little bit as we head towards the middle of next week. Wednesday heading into Thursday, highs only in the 30s. And in fact, all but one day over the next week should be at or below average. And now as we head towards the long term, we warm up a little bit towards Valentine's Day. This is February 14th. Notice that we get it slightly above average and then signs of a cooling trend heading towards next weekend. So we got a little something for everybody here over the next 7 days. As we take a look here at your Sunday forecast, Nationwide Arena, 10 a.m. We have the fifth line 5K race. It is cold out there if you are a runner. Kind of a dreary day on your Super Bowl Sunday. Temperatures, though, staying cold. If you are running, definitely bundle up. As we get towards lunchtime, though, we do warm up above freezing, so that should be nice for the afternoon. As we get a look here at your Tuesday forecast, we have the snow icon. We are tracking our next winter storm potentially heading into next week. A lot of nuances with this, though. Take a look at the latest computer models showing that that storm is passing off to our southeast. Temporarily, though, we do get stuck in that dark blue, which is where we could see some light accumulations of snow. And then as we head towards Tuesday at 8 p.m., that eventually begins to move on out of here. And then right behind that, we're tracking possibly another system. This is by Wednesday night heading into Thursday. All right, so a very busy setup. Notice that this one is a lot warmer as you got more green showing up on the map. And the purple is, of course, more freezing rain. So that hopefully that forecast changes. But nonetheless, temperatures will be mostly in the 30s. Gets a little bit colder as we head into next week. It'll be pretty chilly, but again, all eyes focus on the freezing rain tomorrow, and of course, focus on the potential of snow heading into Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, so we're back into the winter pattern. We got spoiled there a little bit with some of those warmer days, warmer than we should be for this time of the year. And now we're kind of, as we transition back down, we're in that mixed weather pattern. That's just no fun.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would rather have rain or snow,
yeah,
but not that conundrum of the freezing rain and the sleet and whatnot, but that's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And that freezing rain certainly causes problems no matter where you're at. Staying on the topic of what's heading our way for this weekend and causing that weather impact alert, let's dig a little bit more into that ice risk. With these conditions, travel can become dangerous quickly, so I want you to check out this video from Painesville, Ohio, showing a driver lose control Thursday morning.
Once Bob gets here, do we need anything on from maps? Can they get off the roadway? Yeah, they're good to go. Maybe. There was another one. Hey, not touching them.
Officers in Painesville, Ohio, were again helping a driver who had already slid off that icy road Thursday morning when an SUV also slid off the road and up a hill. Officers say they were again assisting that first driver who hit a guardrail in those icy conditions when that second car was caught on dash cam. That's just one of the possible impacts, and experts are asking drivers to have supplies in their cars just in case they become stranded.
Have water, something to eat, chargers. Anytime you find yourself in an incident, it's important to stay in your car.
And this advice is not just good for one storm, but all throughout the year. Motorists should consider having at least some supplies in their vehicle in case, of course, they become stranded on the highways. And speaking of the ice, here's a little bit of that impact that we saw again earlier this week. This photo here from Richard and Marty Smith in Tarleton. Again, pretty similar to what we could expect heading into this weekend. We're talking about that light glazing of ice, enough to make things slippery, probably not to cause major impacts, but if you're traveling out there, something that you're going to notice. I want to talk a little bit about the different types of winter precipitation we've been showing you this week. Of course, rain, that's easy. Freezing rain is where things get messier. You have that cold air layer, the melting layer above, and then that cold air layer again down at the surface. Sleet is when that surface layer is thicker, and then of course snow, that entire layer is cold. But with the freezing rain, what happens again is that liquid rain comes down into that surface layer that is below freezing as a liquid, freezes on contact into that cold area, and that's where you get that nice layer of ice building up on things around the region. As far as what we can expect for the impacts of this system heading our way, if you see any of them, sort them to us certainly. You can find us on social media or by texting us to 614-460-3345. But the impacts out there, thankfully, should be in the smaller category. We're talking quarter-inch or less in most locations. So if you're going to avoid unnecessary travel, that's probably the best idea. Light ice on trees, some light scattered areas where the power may go out. We didn't see too much of that last time. I don't think we'll see much of that this time, but mostly just be careful bridges and overpasses. Once you get into the higher ice impacts, if you're to get closer to a half-inch, that's where things really start to become a mess. Numerous power outages and broken tree limbs. And if you get higher than a half-inch, that's where you just start talking about stay home, because it's going to be a mess no matter where you go. The big concern this time, much like it was last time, going to be bridges and overpasses. As the area cools out there heading into this weekend, they start roughly the same temperature, but the difference is there's a lot more thermal mass under that road surface compared to the bridge. So as you get winds swiping under that bridge, it pulls that heat away. There's nothing underneath to sort of put more heat back into the bridge deck, and that's why those temperatures drop faster, and the potential for freezing rain to stick to these surfaces and cause issues is going to be higher again as we head into this weekend. That's going to be the main thing to watch. Good news is for the rest of the roads out there as we head toward the weekend, all these temperatures still above freezing as of Friday morning. This will likely stay the case for many of the roads around the region, as that subsurface temperature also well above freezing. 38 up on the northeast side, southwest side 40.1. Those are good good numbers to see. And again, that should help prevent major issues this weekend and keep it more limited, again, to those bridges and overpasses. The other impact we'll watch for is power lines out there. Again, with a 1/4 inch or less, we're not really expecting major impacts. You get up to a 1/2 inch, that could add 500 pounds to the power lines in terms of weight. And it also changes the shape of the power line because the ice kind of droops down. You saw it at the beginning of a segment here when we showed you the tree, those drops kind of hanging from the tree limbs. Does the same on power lines. That almost creates kind of a wind foil shape here like you'd see with an airplane wing. And if you blow wind across it, you can get some galloping there. And that up and down motion with the added weight is what could cause power outages. Again, we're not expecting that this weekend, but something we'll be concerned with just to keep an eye on as well. I'll leave you with the driving tips here. All good advice as you head out into the ice. Avoid hitting the brakes. That's how you enter those skids. Let off the gas. Let the car's transmission handle slowing you down. Keep the wheels straight. Hold on tight. And of course, use extra caution on curves, bridges, and overpasses. And one of the most important things, just don't overreact. And turning now to some environment news. It may not seem like it to those of us in the U.S. who experienced the frigid temperatures over the past month, but researchers say it was actually the hottest January on record from a global perspective. Carbon emissions reached record highs in both 2023 and 2024, but scientists still expected cooler conditions in January because of the La Nina. That's the cyclical weather pattern that cools the Pacific Ocean and generally brings lower temperatures with it. The world reached record highs despite that La Nina this year, and that's making scientists think maybe something else aside from carbon emissions is also helping to boost temperatures. One rather counterintuitive hypothesis is that because we lowered air pollution, we might actually be seeing some warming impacts. While generally, of course, air pollution bad for our health, it does tend to help more clouds form, which can shield the Earth from the sun. And speaking of pollution, don't let your Super Bowl pizza become part of that issue. The American pizza community says that more than 12 million pizzas are ordered on Super Bowl Sunday, but after you've eaten your favorite deep dish or stuffed crust, what do you do with that greasy box? Well, the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio says don't throw it away. Instead, you can recycle it. It's all part of SWACO's recycling campaign. More than 25 pizzerias are participating, including Dewey's.
Super Bowl Sunday is a very big day for us. Obviously, lots of parties happening, and we'll probably make anywhere between 300 to 400 pizzas in a really small time frame. We'll go through a good 400 or 500 boxes on that day.
SWACO says the recycling campaign, enhanced by new artificial intelligence, is helping to fix the, quote, greasy box problem. It also is helping to expand the life of its landfill.
We receive probably 10% of the material that comes into our landfill is cardboard, which most of it can be recycled. We can line up a trucks from here to Cleveland with as much cardboard that is put in our landfill every year. So we encourage people to recycle those pizza boxes on Super Bowl Sunday.
And to help this cause, SWACO leaders say make sure that all food and the liner are removed from the pizza box. Franklin County residents can put their boxes in their curbside recycling cart. You can also bring the boxes to a SWACO drop-off recycling location. And for a full list of those drop-off locations, we've posted a link on 10tv.com/featured links. Finally today, let's check out some new video into 10TV, sticking with our Super Bowl theme and a little bit of weather in there too. Check out this video, dense fog over the Superdome in New Orleans. This video was taken Thursday morning as dense fog advisory was in place for the area. Pretty neat weather video here showing that even though this area is pretty brightly lit, still hard to overcome those fog conditions.
Wow.
Check that out.
I love how whatever color the stadium is, it lights up the clouds.
Yeah, it just sort of radiates throughout the fog there. I mean, pretty cool sight there. I mean, that place, especially during the Super Bowl, and it's going to be lit up like Las Vegas, and even still, you can't get through that fog.
Avoid the New Orleans area like the plague for the next few days.
Yeah, it is going to be packed. And sticking with this weekend's theme of the Super Bowl, Fiona the Hippo is predicting that the Philadelphia Eagles will win this year's Super Bowl. Fiona made her selection at the Cincinnati Zoo ahead of the showdown between the Eagles and Kansas City this weekend. The zoo joke that the hippo doesn't really have a good record when it comes to predicting the Super Bowl. Well, only being right 3 times in the last 8 years. About as good as anyone else. The zoo also emphasized that she's a Bengals fan at heart, so who really cares anyways? They're not in the Super Bowl.
We're letting rodents predict the weather. We're letting, what?
Yeah. I mean, I had this conversation heading up to Groundhog's Day this weekend. We got squirrels, we've got groundhogs, we've got skunks. Like, they're all coming for our job, and now they're coming for Dom's job.
This is wild. Oh, man.
They're everywhere.
Next few days will be crazy. Everyone watching the game this weekend, though, nice and cold and cloudy on Sunday to stay inside and have that comfort food. Cannot wait.
Order that pizza and recycle the box later.
Exactly. That does it for us here on 10 TV Plus. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz will have the latest on the impending ice coming up at 6.